Om. 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 Guru Brahma Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedya Dravinam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Jai Guru Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So this evening we start the 7th chapter. So a little bit of background on what some commentators say. Some people divide Gita into 3 parts, which correspond to each of the 3 words of Tattvamasi, the great Mahavakya, which means you are that ultimate reality and you are the same thing. So the first 6 chapters is Dwam, you. It goes in depth into who and what we are on so many levels. And then the 6th chapter finishes up with meditation. And now the second section, starting with chapter 7, deals with Tat, what is ultimate reality. Have you found it, my dear?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start the 7th chapter.
Shri Bhagwan Vacha Maya Satmana Partha Yogam Yunjanmadashrayah Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Nyagyasi Tachrinu. The Blessed Lord said, with the mind intent on me, Partha, practicing yoga and taking refuge in me, how thou shalt without doubt know me fully, that do thou hear.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about Swamiji's use of the these and the thous. He knew this. We here in the West in 2021 don't. English actually has, like Spanish or French, a familiar form of you and a formal form. Anybody here speak Spanish?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, what's the difference between tú and usted?
Formality.
Hmm?
Formality
Yeah.
or respect.
So if you're talking to a teacher or a parent or an elder, which do you use?
Yes.
And if you're talking to someone younger than you or a servant or a dear friend, tú, yes. Now, for example, if you look at English, thee and thou is the familiar form. You is the formal. So, for example, if you look at Romeo and Juliet, Romeo will use you to speak to his parents, etc. But when he's talking to Juliet, he says thou. Now, what religion were you raised, Kali?
Not really anything, but we said we were Presbyterian.
Okay. So, did you ever get exposed to the King James Version of the Bible?
Not really.
I don't think you're old enough to have done that. In the King James Version, God is addressed as thee, thou, and thine. Now, if you go to Mass today and it's a Spanish language Mass, the people refer to God as tú, because God is very familiar. God is the most familiar. Swamiji, of course, knew this because he was very well educated in the English language. So you'll see him use thee and thine, and it's done deliberately. But it's always what we want to understand. It's not, oh, God up there. It's exactly the opposite. Thee and thine and thou is the familiar form. Any thoughts on this? Did you all understand what I said?
Mhm.
Yeah, and people think it's, oh, that's just old-timey language.
Yeah, I've never known this before.
Oh, yes, it's of course dropped out of fashion. There's what they call plain speech among Quakers will still use a form of it. They just use thee. That's the only one they use. But if you don't believe me, go pick up a Shakespeare play. Take a look. All right, so when we talk about knowing Krishna, we have to understand how we can read Gita. Gita teaches on 3 levels simultaneously, and it all depends on the level of awareness of the student. So it is, of course, a Dharma Shastra. It teaches us how to behave and be in the world at the level of action. You can then be identified with Arjuna, who is the universal mumukshu, the seeker after liberation. Another way to frame it is being identified with the subtle body. Now, if our minds are still filled with a lot of vasana, we have a lot of desires and attachments and identifications. Of course, it's of value to think of Krishna out there. Bhaja Govindam. Shankara wrote a wonderful hymn. Bhaja Govinda Mudha Mate. But Gita can also be studied with the understanding Krishna is the self. Krishna is yourself. Upanishads thunder. I am Atma Brahma. This self is Brahman. It's not some self flying around up there in the sky. It means you. So, in this chapter, when Krishna talks about knowing him, the deepest understanding is knowing yourself. Any thoughts on this? All right, next verse.
Jnanam teham savignanamidam vakshamya sheshatah yajñatva neha bhu yo anyam gyatavya mavishishyate. I shall declare to thee in full this knowledge combined with realization, which being known, nothing more here remains to be known.
So we have these technical terms. Jnanam, vijnanam cha. Jnanam normally just means knowledge. Here in this context, it means understanding. The prefix, can have two meanings. It can either mean a superlative or sometimes it means the opposite. Here it's a superlative. What is that's beyond ordinary knowledge? We can say wisdom, we can say realization, we can say understanding and experience. Jnanam, vijnanam cha. Why is this important? What is a pundit?
A scholar.
A scholar. So I can go up to Cal Berkeley. In South Asian studies, there are people who are scholars, South Indian literature. They will have all the various commentaries of all the various scholars, the linguistic analysis and all this sort of stuff. That will not free us. Shankara says, without knowledge of the self, study of the scriptures is futile. All you get out of it is becoming a scholar. And there's a little worldly pleasure. Yes, I know this. And people can have spiritual experiences. But if the attentive faculty is focused outward, and if the mind has not been properly prepared, it does not liberate us. True story. So I had a fellow that I was working with for a while, and he'd had some hard knocks. He had been a crystal meth addict and stuff like that. And he happened to have been friends with Ram Dass. And one time he was sitting face to face with Ram Dass, and they were looking eye to eye, Drishtipat. And my friend got all tuned up. But when he was telling me about this, oh, it was so cool. I saw Hanuman on his face, and then I saw all these past incarnations. It was so cool. His attention was directed outward. Tripurara Hasyam addresses the phenomenon of fleeting samadhis. They define samadhi this way. There's the prakasha, the light of pure awareness. And then there's vimarsha, the deliberation, the various phenomena in the mind. Anytime the mind is free from the vimarsha, that is samadhi. And people experience fleeting samadhis all the time. We call it spacing out. Where did you go? Oh, I don't know. What were you thinking about? Nothing. Can happen when you're fatigued. Can happen when you have a great shock. Can happen after you've listened to some beautiful music and everything just thunders to a stop. You hear it at the symphony or the opera all the time. Everything stops. But if the attentive faculty is focused outward, it has no capacity to liberate us. Example I like to use is someone's coming home from work and they're on the BART train. They're standing up and they're really tired and they just space out. And the mind comes back. What did they realize? Back of BART seat. So we need to be prepared with an understanding. This is the value of studying the scriptures or any other valid means of knowledge. I don't know if Sri Sri Ravi Shankar uses scripture per se as a basis, does he?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yeah, indirectly, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's all Adi Shankaracharya's.
Yeah. But the point is, when the mind is properly prepared, then in those moments, when the last thought is thoughted, before the next thought starts thoughting, in that space, with the attentive faculty turned within, you notice the knower. Who are you? What's your essential nature? And what you see is there's nothing there. Yet that no thing shines. It's prakasha, the light of pure awareness. You will never see yourself as an object, but you're not unknown. Are you? Not me. How do you know it? I don't know, I just do. That's right. My doubt is, well, what is it really like? So I investigate. And the scriptures give us meditations which do not define, they only point. In the end, the self is avyapadesham, indescribable, untalkaboutable, upadesha. So this is why here Krishna stresses jnanam vijnanam cha. Now, Vedanta satsang, what we're doing tonight, is sometimes called a Shabda Pramad, a means of knowledge through words. So what do? As we break open the scriptures, before I said without knowledge of the self, study of the scriptures is futile. With knowledge of the self, study of the scriptures is again futile because you've become an Upanishad. So what's the purpose of the scripture? The scripture is a setu. It's a bridge. In the gestalt of the Vedantic satsang. If it works, we get your minds tuned up. We turn your attentive faculty back on its source, back on the self. Who hears the sound of bugs? I do. Who am I? And if the magic works, then our jnanam vijnanam cha, our understanding and our experience come together at the same time at the moment of the hearing. So that's the methodology in the Vedantic tradition. Any thoughts on this? All right, next verse.
Manushyānaṁ sahasreshu kaschit siddhyate yatataamapi siddhanam kaschin mam veti tattvataha. Among thousands of men, one perchance strives for perfection. Even among those successful strivers, only one perchance knows me in essence.
So, Krishna will say in Gita, self-realization is easy. He'll say, easy to perform, but it's very, very rare. Why is it so rare? It's rare because nobody wants it. Let me give you a more worldly example. Vinayak, where are you? Yeah. Over in that chair. Okay. So, how long ago did you start changing your diet and going to the gym?
3 years ago,
How long?
3 years ago.
3 years ago. So I assume you probably have colleagues that you work with or some friends who've remarked on how much better you look, how much healthier you are, how much more energy you have. Have you had that?
Yeah.
And if you says, oh, this is what I did, how many have taken your advice and done that?
A few,
Hmm.
but not too many.
Uh-huh. And that's just working out. Who here's had a gym membership and never goes to the gym? So it isn't that it's not available, it's that we don't want it. We want other stuff more. We don't want to change our diet because I like sweets and carbs. I'd rather watch Netflix than go to the gym. So what I like to say, if you take the word God, G-O-D, didn't know I could write backwards, did you? And down here, there's another O. You go. And you have G-O-O-D. My good is my God. My God is my good. Krishna will say, everybody in every way always seeks me just by the wrong methods. I think people, places, things, and conditions, status, wealth, prestige. That's what's really important in life. Even if I engage in the spiritual life, it's usually for most people from the standpoint, well, what I'm doing to get what I want isn't working very well. Maybe if I start meditating, I'll get what I want more effectively. Do you meditate? Oh, yeah. I do it, before Pilates and after my bubble bath, Uh, it's just another thing I include in my daily regimen to get about the business of being successful in life. No blame. This is an evolution, not a revolution, Swamiji used to say. No blame at all. But moksha is very rare because nobody wants it. Even if, because of your culture, because of your family, you've been exposed to the science of self-knowledge, people enter on the path and they don't even realize they have other motives. One of the biggest is community. People crave loka vasana, community. I want to feel connected to other people. That's why I went to the ashram. So I'd have community. Not that community isn't fun. I mean, we had a potluck last night. You know why I do potlucks? To build community. But that's ancillary. That's ancillary. You gotta keep your eye on the goal. And it has to be more important than anything else. Now, it may take us lifetimes before we develop the insight into the world, see it for what it is. In Vivekachudamani, Shankara text, in Shankara's qualifications of a fit student, he defines shama, that peaceful state of mind when it rests in steady contemplation of the goal after having muhur again and again detached itself from the chaos of the sense objects. How? Through a steady observation of their defects. It doesn't mean the world is bad or wrong. Nothing wrong with the world. But the defects are these. Everything is impermanent. What little pleasure I get out of the world is always temporary, limited, and 95 cents worth of work for a nickel's worth of juice. And the law of diminishing return. The first chocolate is wonderful. If I eat the whole jar, I want to barf. And if it was really pleasurable, I'm then compelled to want to repeat it. Oh, I want to do that again to get that hit of the juice. This is the defect of the world. Some people say, well, you just got to accept that that's all you get. And yoga says no. Nityananda is my true nature. Chidananda Rupaham Shivoham Shivoham, Shankari says. So here Krishna identifies what the facts are. Sthita prajna, steady wisdom, that's what he calls it in the second chapter. Though easy to perform, you don't have to have a high IQ. You don't have to know Sanskrit. Shankara will say, success in spiritual endeavors is entirely due to the degree of the qualifications of the student, being adhikari. Other factors such as time and place, even whether you've got a fancy guru or not, well, they can be important. They're fundamentally secondary. What are the four qualifications? Anybody remember them? Viveka, capacity to discriminate between the real and the unreal. Vairagya, an intense spirit of renunciation, to let go of attachment to all experiences gained through the senses. This doesn't mean we don't experience the world, it's that we're not attached. And the capacity to give up all identification with any personal sense of self, starting from the body up to and including thinking I'm some super important person. Third qualification is a group of 6, which I won't go into. Shamadhi guna, qualities of shama, etc., which have to do with being able to basically tune up the mind, stay equanimous. And the fourth one, mumukshutva, the burning desire for liberation. So, easy to perform, but very rare. Now, interestingly enough, one of the ideas that can keep us from it is the very reverence Hindus have for the tradition. You see some Swami who's deep in the south. You go, oh, golly. He's a Mahatma. I'm just an ordinary fellow. Not for me this lifetime. I may do a little bit of scripture study next lifetime. We don't think it's possible for us. And it is. Next verse.
भूमिरापो नलो वायु खं मनो बुद्धिरेव च अहंकार इति यं मे भिन्ना प्रकृति रष्टधा. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intellect, egoism. These are my eightfold Prakriti.
So, what he's going to talk about now is what is Prakriti, nature. The word nature in English has two meanings. I can go up to Muir Woods and walk among the redwoods and enjoy the beauty of nature. Oh, Jim told another terrible joke. Well, that's just his nature. See the two meanings? Prakriti has the same two meanings. So, for you and me, there is Nirguna Brahman, Nis, the Sandhi turns the last S to an R, means without. Guna means qualities. Brahman is ultimate reality. It's Krishna. Yourself is nirmalam, without a taint. Vigunai, beyond all the gunas. Nirupaha, without any form. Chidakash, the space of pure awareness. And always experienced as aham, the subject, I. Sa guna Brahman. Sa means with. Guna means qualities. Brahman. So what is Brahman with qualities? The phenomenal universe. Just like when you dream, all the people, places, things, and conditions, your dream body, and the dream ego that notices them. Really nothing but your own non-dual mind appearing as that refracted name and form. So we have the tanmatras, earth, air, fire, water, and ether. Now, I struggled with these when I first started my sadhana. Earth is not an element, for God's sake. Hydrogen's an element, helium's an element, oxygen's an element. You know, Earth is not an element. And what this refers to is the yogic understanding of perception. Now, some of you have heard me go through this. Forgive me if it's a repetition. So we're here in my living room, and do you see my coffee table?
Mm-hmm.
What's coffee table made of?
Wood.
Wood?
Mm-hmm.
What's wood made of?
Carbon.
Carbon, cellulose, carbon. So we can say that the element there is carbon, maybe a few other things. Now, if this were a dream, the dream coffee table would appear just as solid as this does to you and me right now. But what would the dream coffee table be made of? Is there carbon in a dream? No. Earth, air, fire, water, and ether. What does that mean? Earth is smellability. I put pledge on it. Can you smell the lemon pledge? Air is touchability. You can reach out and touch the table. Fire, seeability. What colors are there? There's two different shades of brown. Earth, air, fire, water. If I spilled salsa on it, you could lick it up. Taste. Water is the sense of taste. And space or ether is sound. You can bang your knuckles on it. So what we have, the technical term, you don't need to remember, this is called the Pancha Karanam, the fivefold division and subsequent recombination. So those very pure sense perceptions, earth, air, fire, water, and ether, divide, reform, and all sorts of combinations. And what shows up in the dream state is coffee table. But it's nothing but perception appearing as a name and form. Is that clear? Yes, no? Okay. So your body is no different. What's your dream body made of? It's not flesh and bone and blood, etc. It's the five elements, divided and recombined. So Aishani's body is different than Arvind's. Then what else is there? I think the next one was Manas, was mind.
Mm-hmm.
Did he?
Intellect, egoism.
Yes. Mind. This is where feelings, judgments, reactions take place. We call that place my mind, manas. Now, here's an interesting thing for those of you who live in Berkeley and where there's a whole lot of being woke. The English word man is not a genitalia reference. The English word man comes from the Sanskrit manusya, which comes from the word manas. A man is a being with a mind. A womb man, a woman, is what the word means, is a very special thinking being who has the additional glory of a womb. That's what those words mean. I think you should use the word person. Person is persona for sound. It refers to those masks that you see on comedy and tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
So a person has a mask. Is that what you want to call yourself? Just a little bit of deeper understanding of the words. Mind, manas. Buddhi, intellect. This is the place where thinking happens. The thoughts go by like your hand in front of your face. It's where doubt and certainty exist, where mental pictures, if you visualize a strawberry, that place is your intellect. If you do the problem, 2 + 2 is 4, that's your intellect. Now, in the subtlest part of the intellect, technical term for it is vijnana maya kosha, the subtle intellect. There is a function, goes by many, many different names. Here, Gita is using the term ahankara. Does he use ahankriti or ahankara?
Ahankar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the root, it's two things mushed together. Aham. Aham is simply the first person pronoun, means I. But kara comes from the root kri, which is to make or to do. We get words like karma, karana, cause, kriya, an action taking place in time. So Ahankara is the kind of thinking and feeling that creates the personal sense of I. It's like deep hypnotism. It's like the dream. It's like, and I always get these two words mixed up, dysmorphia or dysphoria. When like a person who's anorexic thinks they're fat. What's that called? Mark, which is it?
I don't know.
Anyway, so if you know anybody who's struggled with anorexia, they'll look in the mirror and they're bone thin, but what they see is somebody fat. Oh, I bend over sideways and look at the wrinkle in my skin. I'm fat, fat, fat. But they're not. So they have an illusion about what their body looks like. So the truth is, yourself, who you are, is birthless, changeless, deathless, already perfect. But I superimpose upon that false ideas. And the chief of them is Jiva Bhavana, the feeling that I'm a person. The root of that is I think I'm the body, or I think I'm my job, my relationships, my behavior, what other people think of me. That's a big one. All these form this fake news, this phony self, this I that's created, this ahankara, which is fundamentally different than aham. I like to use the example of a person who goes to a stage hypnotist in Las Vegas. They go up on stage and they're hypnotized into thinking they're a chicken. They run around the stage. Everybody's laughing. And then the hypnotist brings them out of a trance. Oh, wow, that was so weird. I was sure I was a chicken. Now, was he ever a chicken? But he thought he was. So our beliefs can be very powerful. And that's what ahankara is. Now, some of the scriptures will use the word karta, which means the doer. It's the sense of agency. There's nothing wrong with this. One could not function in the world without it. But the important thing to know is it's not you. You are the witness of it. So this is the prakriti. This is the stuff of nature. This is Saguna Brahman. This is the infinite appearing as name and form. This is my upadhis, is the term some scriptures use, which means equipment. This is the robot. Fundamentally different than Nirguna Brahman, which is I, the self. the eternal witness of the equipment. I know my body. I know the prana. I know the feelings. I know the thoughts. I know when ego rises and falls. But I am none of those. Koham. Who am I? Chidanandarupaham. I'm bliss consciousness. All right, next one.
Pages are really stuck. Okay. Apareya mitas Tvanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat. This is the lower prakriti, different from it. Know thou, O mighty armed, my higher prakriti, the very life element by which this world is upheld.
So, as I talked about in the last verse, this description, the 5 tanmatras, meaning the combination of all the things that make up form and perception, the mind, the intellect, the ego sense are the lower prakriti. Sa guna Brahman. And now he says, now know my higher nature, prakriti para, which is the subject, nirguna Brahman, which is the life principle in everything. Now, what does he mean by this? The lamp here has a light bulb. The fan turns to move air. The stereo can sing with music. Electricity is not light, not motion, not sound. But when electricity makes contact with the bulb, because of the electric principle, the bulb shines. When electricity makes contact with the fan turns. When electricity makes contact with the stereo sings. So also the upadis, my body, my mind, my intellect, they are essentially jada. Is that a word in Hindi as well as Sanskrit?
Jada, root.
Jada means inert in Sanskrit.
Yeah, I mean, it can mean root, which I guess is like.
I don't know. Anyway, so what it means is all the physical things are inherently insentient. The table can't see the bowl. What about the beings? Kali can see Aishani. Well, we'll get to that. But from the standpoint of Kali, her body is an object of awareness. Her nose doesn't know her toes. She knows them both. The body, though it moves, is not inherently sentient. Feelings are insentient. One feeling doesn't know another feeling. Thoughts are insentient. One thought doesn't know another thought. But you are sentience itself. So not only do you know all the elements of the equipment and the whole phenomenal world, but the knowing principle enlivens them. Deepak Chopra was once asked if death is the opposite of life. And he says, no, the opposite of death is birth. There is no opposite to life. You not only exist, Sat, but you are Baba, being. You are a conscious, sentient being. You are the conscious, sentient being. Ever the knower of all phenomena, gross and subtle. The phenomena are always changing, but you never change. Don't believe me? Look. And just like all ornaments are made of gold, if it's a nose ring, an earring, a necklace, or a bracelet, whatever form the gold takes, the gold does not leave its nature. So also, Nama Rupa, the names and forms, are constantly changing, all impermanent. But their substratum, the material cause of them all, is consciousness. That consciousness enlivens everything and is the very sat of even things like mountains, which do not appear to move. Any thoughts on this? So he's largely speaking from what we call the microcosm, your upadhis, your body, mind, intellect. It is always an object of awareness. The practice that's implied, step back and take on the viewpoint of the witness. We call this Sakshi Bhava. I'm the knower of the body, heat and cold. I'm the knower of the feelings, pleasure and suffering. I'm the knower of the ideas, honor and dishonor, success and failure. I'm the knower even of the ego. When I'm totally engaged in a project, the ego is very thin. If I'm triggered, it's very thick. But do not I see it rise and fall, thicken and thin? It totally disappears at night when I go to sleep. Who am I? you just make the mind still for a moment. Listen to the sounds outside. See if you can notice who hears them. It's the nature of that eye that hears. See, there's nothing there. No thing. All right. Next verse.
एतद्योनीनि भूतानि सर्वाणीत्युपधारय अहं कृत्स्नस्य जगतः प्रभवः प्रलयस्तथा. Know that these two prakritis are the womb of all beings. So I am the source and dissolution of the whole universe.
Solution or dissolution?
The source and dissolution.
Dissolution. Okay. So in our classic iconography in Hinduism, most of the gods have a consort. Shiva ever wedded to Shakti, Radha, Krishna, Sita, Ram. What does this mean? So this divine dance, this infinite eroticism, consciousness, enlivening energy. So if you look in front of Lord Shiva there, you'll see there's a Shiva lingam. Do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Now you have the Shiva lingam that stands for Nirguna Brahman, and it's placed in a yoni, a womb. That's Saguna Brahman, the Prakriti, the nature out of which the whole world is made. And it's the union of the two that makes it all dance. That's the divine play. The divine play. It's everywhere. But most importantly, for you, there's the higher Prakriti, yourself, Aham. Then there's the lower Prakriti, the body, the prana, the mind, the intellect, the ego. They dance because of this Brahman contact. Yourself illuminating it all. All right, one more.
Matah parataram nanya. Matah parataram nanya tin kinchitasti dhananjaya. Mai sarvamidam protam sutre mani ganam iva. There is nothing whatsoever higher than me, O Dhananjay. All this is strung in me as clusters of gems on a string.
One of the most famous shlokas. So, what is beyond the self? Nothing. It is where the buck stops. Well, I've realized the self beyond the self. Well, who knew it? I did. That's yourself. What is that by which everything is known? I. Without which nothing can be known? I. Beyond which there's nothing to know? I. That's why it's called Veda Anda, the end of knowledge, Vedanta. And here his one of the most famous images, Mani Sutra, gems or jewels strung on a thread. So my body is different than Aishani's, different than Kali's, different than Arvind's, different than Vinayak's, all the people in Zoom land. Our feelings are different. Thoughts are different. The ego sense is different in each one of us. But when I look behind my eyes and notice the knower, there's only the space of pure awareness. And when you look behind your eyes and notice the knower, there's just the space of pure awareness. The self in me is not like the self in you. The self in me is the self in you. Let me see if I can give you a worldly example. Imagine I have a piece of butcher paper, and there are 6 pinholes in it. And the room is dark, and from your standpoint over there, you see 6 lights shining through the pinholes. So the question is, are there 6 individual pen lights, one shining through each hole, or one flashlight? From your viewpoint, you see 6 lights. You come behind the paper, one flashlight. So a sentient being is looking out of your eyes, and your eyes, and your eyes, and your eyes. Are there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 selves here? No, only one. Is a term the scriptures use, kevala, alone, or kaivalya. Doesn't mean you go sit on top of a mountain or live in a cave. It's the deep understanding that the self in everyone is one. Now, again, there's a practice that's implied here. Rather than getting caught up too much in how people behave, what they say, how they think, if you look directly into their eyes, there's a conscious being looking out of those eyes. That conscious being is yourself, the self. There's nobody else here. It's So the upadis, the equipment, are the different jewels. But the sutra, the thread, is Krishna. The self in everyone. Okay, this is a good place to stop tonight. What verse are we on for next week?
8.
Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om.